Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and good Shabbos. It is a brilliant white Shabbos down here. I was joking that we should start our services with the old Jewish standard. Thank you, the old Jewish standard. I'm dreaming of a white Shabbos. And because it is actually a white Shabbos. We got some snow last night and into this today, even this afternoon. When I was in the office, it was still snowing a little bit out there, and it was very, very nice. It's nice and chilly. Some would say cold, but there's snow on the ground and just lovely. So that's the weather for us down here. Lots of snow, and apparently the eastern part, the northeastern part of the country is warmer than the southern part of the country today. It was 55 in Boston, I believe, and so wasn't 55 here. It was considerably cooler. But it is Shabbat, and I think, yes, this is the last Shabbat of the calendar year. This is the last Shabbat of 2020. Next week, it'll be 2021 and a brand new series of Shabbatot. So wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. It is Shabbat. And here we are. We're going to begin a little bit of Kabbalat Shabbat, a little bit of welcoming Shabbat. And Sam is here, and we're going to ask him to light the candles. And you could follow along with the brachot on pages 2 and 3.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahalit ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Thank you, Sam. All right, we're going to continue on page 6, reading responsively in the middle of the page. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship.
May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, things to express, hopes to nurture.
May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity.
May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet.
May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness.
May the synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life.
We're going to continue on page 20 with Lecha Dodi, verses 1 and 2, 8 and 9. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Hishmi'anu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, l'shem ultiferet v'litila, lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela, likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha, Ki mekor ha-bracha, merosh mikedem nehesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava techila, lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela, yamin u'smol tifrotzi, V'et Adonai taritzi, al yad ish ben partzi, v'nismecha v'nagila, lecha dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabila, Boi b'shalom ateret bala, Gam b'simcha uv'sohala, Toch emunei am segula, Boi chala, Lecha dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabidla. Let's turn to page 22 and let's read together a psalm, a song for Shabbat. It is good to praise Adonai, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night, with a 10-stringed harp, with voice and lyre together. You have gladdened me by your deeds, Adonai. I shout for joy at your handiwork. How great are your works, Adonai. How very subtle your designs. A brute cannot know, a fool cannot understand this. And we'll continue with the Hebrew on the indented lines. Tzadik katam ha'yifrach. Keret balvanon yiskeh shetulim b'veit Adonai b'chatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu. O Jinuvun Beseva, Deshenim Vera'ananim, Yiyu Lehagid, Ki Ashar Adonai, Tzuri, Below Avlatabo. Let's turn to page 24 and greet the angels who come to spend Shabbat with us with Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seidchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We've entered into the realm of Shabbat. We've welcomed Shabbat. We've put away the week. And now we've entered into Shabbat together, and we're going to continue with Erev, the evening service for Shabbat, page 145, beginning with Chatzi Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yamad yivrach cherutei v'yamlik malchutei, b'chayei uvyomechon uvchayei d'chol beit Yisrael. Bahagala, Bahagala, Uvizman kahariv v'imheru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevorach leolam olmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudusha brichu leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushpechata v'nechemata damiran b'yama v'yimheru amen. Page 146, Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam vayed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam vayed. Let's continue reading responsively on page 147. Adonai, your majesty is proclaimed by the marvels of earth and sky. Sun, moon, and stars testify to your power and wisdom.
Day follows days in endless succession, and the years vanish, but your sovereignty endures.
Though all things pass, let not your glory depart from us. Help us to become co-workers with you and endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. Top of page 148, Ahavat Olam. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amchavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu B'shochbeinu uvkumeinu Nasiach bechukecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha Uv'mitzvotecha Leolam va'ed Ki heim chayenu v'yorech yameinu Uvahem nege yomam v'layla Ve'ahavat echal tasir mimenu li'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev amo Yisrael Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha B'chol lavavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele Asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha V'shinantam levanecha V'dibarta bam V'shivtecha b'veitecha Uvlechtecha v'derech Uv'shokbecha uv'kumecha Ukshartam liot al yadecha V'hayu letotafo b'neinecha Uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha Uvisharecha Leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai V'tem kedoshim le'Elohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem. Let's read responsively on page 151. We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all.
Yet that oneness eludes our grasp as imperfection and evil abound.
Before our eyes there is a vision of perfection, order, and goodness.
There is evil enough to break the heart, and there is good enough to exalt the soul.
When will redemption come?
We grant everyone what we claim for ourselves.
Long ago we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High.
We learned God's presence redeems time and event, so we celebrate this power that makes for freedom.
Top of page 152, Mi Chamocha. Mi Chamocha Bailim Adonai. Mi Kamocha Nedar Bakodesh. Nora Tehilo Ohosef Eleh. Malchutecha Ra'u Vanecha. Bokeyam Lifnei Moshe. Ze Eli Anu V'Amru Adonai Imloch Le'olam Va'ed V'Ne'emar Ki Adonai et Yaakov Ugalo Miad Chazak Mimenu Baruch Ata Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. Top of page 153, Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom V'ha'amidenu Shomreinu L'Chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom V'ha'amidenu Shomreinu L'Chaim. And let's read together at the bottom. Give us a place to rest, O God. Shelter us in the long, soft evening shadows of your truth. You are true protection and safety. In your presence we find love and acceptance. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch Ata Adonai, Haporei Sukkot Shalom Aleinu, V'al Kol Amo Yisrael, V'al Yerushalayim. Page 154 at the top, Vishamru. Vishamru V'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat L'dorotam berith olam. Vishamru B'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat L'dorotam berith olam. Beini uvein B'nei Yisrael B'nei Yisrael, Oti Liolam. Vishamru B'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat L'dorotam berith olam. Ki sheshet yamim Asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz Vishamru V'nei Yisrael et hashabbat La'asot et hashabbat L'dorotam berith olam. Uvayom hashvi'i Shavat vayinafash Shavat vayinafash, Shavat vayinafash, Vishamru V'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat L'dorotam berith olam. All right, we are at the Amidah. We're going to chant pages 155, 156, and 157 together, and then we'll continue silently through the end on 167. You can chant along with us in the Hebrew, follow along in the English, or offer up your own special prayer at this time. but we're going to begin together on 155. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, Handorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei hakol, v'zocher chasdei avot v'imahot, u'mevi goel libnei b'neihem, leman shemo bi'ahava, melech ozer u'moshiach u'magen, Baruch atah Adonai, magen Avraham, v'ezrat Sarah, atah gibor le'olam Adonai, V'chaye metim atarav lahoshia, mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, mechakel chayim bechesed, v'chaye metim berachamim rabim, somech noflim berofei cholim, u'matir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar michamocha ba'givurot umidom melach melech memit umechayeh umatzmiach Yeshua v'ne'eman atah l'chayot metim Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hametim. Let's continue together reading in English on page 160. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may we all live in such a way that this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. And let's continue on 163. It's the Amidah, a little bit of Hoda'ah, Hakarat HaTov, a little bit of gratitude. And on the top of page 163, let's read responsively. For the good in us, which unites, which calls us to a better life, we give thanks.
For the strength to improve the world with our hearts and our hands, we offer praise.
For the desire in us, which leads us to work for peace, we are grateful.
For life and nature, harmony and beauty, for the hope of tomorrow, all praise to the source of being.
And we'll close out on page 164 with the prayer for peace. Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rahav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rahav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. V'tov b'necha livarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol eit u'v'chol sha'ah b'shlomecha. Shalom Rahav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rahav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. And let's read responsively in the English. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes.
Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of our world. Plant virtue in every soul, and may love your name hallow every home and every heart.
Praised are you, Adonai, who blesses your people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivorech et amo Yisrael, v'shalom. We're going to jump ahead to page 253 for the Mishaberach, the prayer for healing. If you have anybody in your life or anybody that you know who needs a little bit of special healing this Shabbat, please keep them close to your hearts and in your thoughts as we sing in the middle of the page. Mishaberach avotenu mikor habracha le'imotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mikor habracha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing, with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Let's turn to pages 258 and 259. Prayers for our community, for our congregation, our country, and Medinat Yisrael. And we'll read these together. Source of all being, may the children of this community learn these passions from us. Love of Torah, devotion and prayer, and support of the needy. May we guide with integrity, and may our leadership be in your service. May those who teach and nourish us be blessed with satisfaction, and may we appreciate their time and their devotion. Bless us with the fruits of wisdom and understanding, and may our efforts bring fulfillment and joy. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. Thus says Adonai, this is what I desire, to unlock the fetters of wickedness and untie the cords of lawlessness, to let the oppressed go free, to break off every yoke. Share your bread with the hungry and take the wretched poor into your home. When you see the naked, give clothing and do not ignore your own kin. If you banish the yoke from your midst, the menacing hand, the evil speech, if you offer compassion to the hungry and satisfy the famished creature, then your light shall shine in darkness. Avinu Shabashamayim, Tzur Yisrael v'Go'alo, Barech et Medinat Yisrael, Reshit Smichat Gulatenu. Hagein Aleha bi'evrat chastecha, Ufros Aleha Sukat Shlomecha, Ushlak Urchav Amitcha, L'Rasheha Sareha V'Yoetzeha, V'Takneim Be'etza Tova Milfanecha, V'Natata Sholom Ba'aretz, V'Simchat Olam Liyoshveha, V'Nomar Amen. O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love, spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen. All right, friends, Shabbat Shalom and good Shabbos. We are starting to wrap things up. This week it's Parashat Vayigash, and it's the penultimate. It's the next to the last parasha in the book of Genesis. We've already almost made it through the first book of our Torah with all the legends and the stories about our patriarchs and our matriarchs, the creation of the world, the destruction of the world, and the founding, really, of the Jewish people. This week's parsha picks up with Yosef and Yehuda in the middle of their confrontation. Right? If you remember last week, the brothers showed up a second time. They brought Benjamin with them, and now they're getting ready to leave. And Yosef plants a cup in Benjamin's sack, and they're found out, and they're brought back to Yosef, who accuses Benjamin of being a thief. And now Yosef and Yehuda are going back and forth because Joseph said to the brothers, "Go, get out of here. I'm going to keep Benjamin as my slave." And Yehuda steps up. He steps up and he says, "Look, if you keep our younger brother, if you keep the youngest brother, Benjamin, this will kill our father. So I'm proposing a switch. I will stay here and be your slave. I'm a grown man already, so I can be your slave, and let Benjamin go back home to our father." And Yosef, seeing Yehuda in this light, remember, Yosef has not had the greatest relationship with his brothers. In fact, actually, it was Yehuda who convinced the other brothers not to kill Yosef way back when we first began the story of Yosef, and instead to sell him, to put him in a pit and sell him to a group of Ishmaelites. Yosef is so moved by seeing Yehuda step up to take not just responsibility, but to put himself in harm's way for Benjamin, that Yosef comes out. Yosef reveals himself to his brothers and says, I am Yosef, your brother. And the brothers are dumbfounded, right? Yosef immediately recognized them. I guess maybe because, when they came down, there was a group of 10 of them, right? 10 brothers, but they didn't recognize him. And now when Joseph reveals himself, he says, I am Yosef, your brother. They're dumbstruck. They have nothing to say. But Yosef steps up and says, look, go, get Yaakov, get our father and bring him down here and settle here, and I'll take care of you. So Pharaoh, following Joseph's lead, invites the family to come down and live off the fat of the land, to in some ways be guests of Pharaoh. And it is an emotional reunion, right? So the time gets compressed. They go back, they get Yaakov, they bring him down. And when he gets there and he sees Yosef and he has all the brothers surrounding him, it's interesting. We don't know what happened to Dinah, right? Dinah, the one daughter who was mentioned in the Torah. He says, now I can die, right? I've seen my family reunited. Yosef, my favorite son, was not dead. He was not taken from me. Benjamin is, still with me. All of the boys are back, and Yaakov is content. There's one fly in the ointment to this whole story, is that the Egyptians hate shepherds for whatever reason. Maybe because Egypt was a very cosmopolitan kind of place. It was urban. Plus, it's in the middle of the desert, so there's not a lot of. It's a lot of desert. There's maybe not a lot of room for shepherds. But as we know, our ancestors were all shepherds. And Yosef says to them, look, if they give you any problems, just tell them who you are, that our ancestors were all shepherds, and we're just going to go live in the land of Goshen, right? So we won't bother anybody. So Yosef takes care of them, and they increase not only their wealth, but they increase in numbers, right? And this is a bit of foreshadowing in the Torah, because when we get to the book of Shemot, the book of Exodus, one of the reasons why Pharaoh doesn't like Joseph's family is because they have become prolific. They have had lots of children, and Pharaoh's afraid that they won't rise up against him, but they might join some other enemy of Pharaoh. But we'll get there. But the famine continues. The original famine that brought the brothers down in the first place, it continues, and Yosef sets up a program, right? That the Egyptians can trade their livestock for food. All right, that's pretty fair. And then when the livestock runs out, they can trade their land for food. So in a way, Yosef is helping Pharaoh to consolidate all the land, right? You want to eat, you got to cede some of your land. And pretty soon Pharaoh controls all of the available land. And then Yosef sets up a tax program, something that's very, very successful, that 1/5 of all the produce that's produced goes to Pharaoh, and 4/5 will stay with the family that produced it. And that's where the Torah portion ends, with this Yosef, again, showing his business acumen and his willingness to help Pharaoh. So next week, with the last parsha of Genesis, we'll conclude the story of Yosef. All right, we've been looking at a list of seven ideas that help build a strong Jewish community, as put forward by a group called Keshet. And we've done kavod, which means respect and dignity. We've done Sholom Bayit, right? Peace in the house. And this week, we're coming up on a very, very simple yet profound idea. One of my favorite statements, one of my favorite phrases in all of the Bible is the idea that we are created b'tselem Elohim, literally in the image of God. Right? It's a beautiful statement in the first creation story that we are created in the image of the divine. But what does that mean? Right? We studied the Aseret HaDibrot, we studied the 10 utterances, and we know that God doesn't have a form. And we're forbidden from trying to create a form for God. God is that unknowable part. And there's no image. So what does it mean to be created in the image of God? Literally in the image of God. Well, it's not the physical image. Right? As much as I would like to say God is this handsome guy, shaves his head, has a black and gray beard, wears glasses, has, likes Jerry Garcia ties. I would love that for God, and I'm sure Sam would like, God to be wearing a Ron Weasley sweater and, James flannel, right? I guess flannel, maybe, yeah. Fleece. I knew it was an F word. Fleece, flannel, right? But that's not God. That's not God. Actually, we're given divine qualities, right? The modes of behavior, ways of looking at the world, right? Nothing physical. And these attributes of God that we're given, this being created in God's image, means that we demonstrate these qualities through our actions, right? So one of the qualities that we give to God is one that's called rachamim, compassion, right? We want God to be merciful on us. And so that's one of the ways in which we're created in God, with the capacity for compassion. Right? Now, sometimes we don't use the compassion enough, but if we really want to show that we're created b'tselem Elohim, we need to show compassion. Ahava is another one that we give to God. Love, the ability to love someone, the ability to love other people, right? To love creation is another one of God's attributes that we have. And then the last one is din, the idea of justice. Right? It's not all, yogurt and butterflies, right? Sometimes we have to, we want to make sure that things are just. And that's part of God's attributes, and that's part of ours. And so what it boils down to is with ahava, with rachamim, with din, we could throw tzedek in there, we could throw justice in there. The idea is that we show that we're created b'tselem Elohim through our capacity to be moral, to help other people, to make the right decisions. And so why I said this is a profound idea is that if we start to look at people, instead of them being our enemies, instead of them as being other, whether it's they speak a different language, they come from a different country, their skin color is different than ours, they like men, they like women, right? There's always something that seems to tear us apart, right? We want to say that we're different. What b'tselem Elohim means, it means that we're basically the same. We're created with the same intrinsic value, the same intrinsic worth. So no one's better than someone else. We might look different, but that's part of being human. But we all have the same humanity, the same dignity that God created into us, because that's part of God. So every human being has irreducible worth and dignity, and we need to recognize that. And sometimes it's hard, right? Sometimes it's hard. The guy that really drives you crazy, or the gal that really just pushes your button, it's hard to see them in light of Tselem Elohim, of being created in the image of God. But that's something we have to work at. Because what it boils down to is that we represent the divine. We represent God on this earth. Right? God has no form, but God has attributes. And when we mirror those attributes, or we reflect those attributes onto others, we're showing, we're representing the divine in all of our wondrous, beautiful, and unique ways. Recognizing Tselem Elohim is that we see the essential holiness in other people. And to ignore it, or to destroy it, or to want to destroy another human being is to commit the greatest of sins. Right? This is how we should enter into all of our interactions with people, even with people with whom we disagree, keeping in mind that they are created Tselem Elohim. And even though we might disagree with them, they still have worth. They still have dignity. And then this goes back to kavod, to extending the idea of respect to someone. But when we recognize that we're all created B'Tselem Elohim, in the image of the divine, that becomes the foundation of true inclusion, regardless of people's color, languages, their religion even, right? Their likes and their dislikes. We include people because they are Tselem Elohim. And when we do that, when we recognize it, it's more than just paying lip service to the Torah. It's to act like the divine one, who extends compassion and love and justice to us. So too should we do it to others. Shabbat Shalom and good Shabbos.
Shabbat shalom.
All right, Sam, you know what time it is?
Kiddush.
Kiddush, yes. I will not forget. I will not forget. Although I do always forget the page. The page is pages 4 and 5. Pages 4 and 5 for Kiddush. Vayhi Erev, Vayhi Vocher, Yom HaShishi. Vayachulu Hashamayim v'haaretz, v'chol tevam. Vayachal Elohim bayom hashvi'i, melachto asher asa. Vayishbot bayom hashvi'i, mikol melachto asher asa. Vayavarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i, vayikadesh oto. Kivo shavat mikol melachto asher bara Elohim la'asod. Savri. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. B'Shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila l'mikra'e kodesh, zecher l'tziat mitzrayim. Ki vanu v'acharta, yotanu kidashta, Mikol hamim, v'shabbat kodshecha, b'ahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh haShabbat. And now we'll continue with Aleinu. And we will find that on page 282. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, la'tet gedula liotzer b'reshit, shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot, Velo samanu kamishpachot hadama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim
ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר הארץ ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל ושכינתו זו בגובהי מרומים הוא אלוהינו אהוד אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו כך כתוב בתורתו וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ מתחתינו.
Let's continue on the top of page 285. Let the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. May all who are created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realm be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lamelech al kol haaretz vayom hahu yeh Adonai echad Ushemo Echad. This week we observed the following yard sites: Saul Schiff, Rena Stern's uncle; Joanne Glick Levy, David's sister; Rhoda Rosenberg, Michael's mother; Shirley Bro Davis, wife of Norman, mother of Chuck, Sarah Lynn, and Tony; Jack Gottlieb, husband of Gail, father of Linda, Jody, and Laurie; Ira Herman; Sylvia Wagner Jupiter; Isabel Seligson, Mary Lee Glazer's mother; Sam Kolker, Joe and Herb's father; Mortimer Frolau, Susan Miller's father; Saul Keene, Leonard's father; Janice Hirsch, Susie Brodoff's and Cheryl's mother; Margie Lerner, married to Lenny, mother of Michael and Linda, sister-in-law to Joan; Gazella Macinter, Ralph's wife, mother of Edgar and Lois Jean; Carolyn Sue Whitten Cohen, Isidore and Bessie's oldest daughter, Nancy's sister, married to Keith. May their souls be bound up in the bond of life eternal. May their memories be a blessing to us always, and may they all rest in peace. Mourner's Kaddish is found on page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah v'yamad divrach hirutei v'yamlik malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael Ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach li'olam lo me'amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithala shmei dekudisha brichu. Le'la min kol birchata v'shirata.
tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiram ba'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'romav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
All right, friends, that brings us to almost to the end of our Friday night service. Just a couple of quick announcements. Service is tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. and then again Sunday morning at 9. And then Yiddish choir. Wednesday nights, the best little Yiddish choir anywhere. Come get your song and your Yiddish on with Scott and Tam and a whole bunch of people who like to sing. You can visit with old friends and make some new ones. So that's Wednesday at 7, and you'll get a link for that. In January, just to give you a little heads up, you'll be getting an email about it. I'm going to start a weekly Torah study. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the beginning of Genesis, and we're going to just go verse by verse through the book of Genesis, looking at classic commentators and some modern commentators as we make our way through. And everybody's welcome. You don't need to know Hebrew. The readings will be in English, although I will be, of course, we'll look at the Hebrew text, but it'll be in English translation as well, and all the commentaries will be in English. So if you're interested in that, look for the email, and then it'll tell you what to do. And then a couple, I don't want to put a date on it yet, but one Friday night, I want to have Ask the Rabbi. And instead of a regular drosh, answer any kind of questions that you have about why we do things, anything about Judaism that you find interesting or want to know a little bit more about. And I'll be sending an email out about that, giving you plenty of time to send me your questions so that I have some time to prepare them. And the questions I don't get to, we'll just hold them over until the next time we do it. So a couple of emails coming your way in the next couple of weeks. Did I miss anything, Sam?
No.
Yeah. All right.
Quiet
So
time.
if you're out there with the snow, enjoy it. If you're where it's warm, enjoy the warmth. Wherever you are, just enjoy it. Have a great Shabbos. And we're going to close out with Adon Olam on page 321.
Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Li'et Nasa B'chefso Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'acharei Kitlot HaKol Levado Yimlok Nora V'hu Haya V'hu Moveh Vehu yeh b'tifara, vehu echad v'ein sheni, lahamshilo lahachbira, v'li reishit v'li tachlit, v'lo ha'oz v'hamisra, vehu eli v'chai goali, v'tzor chevli b'eitzara, Vehu nisi umanosli, menat kosi biyomekra, biyahado hafkid ruchi, beiti shan v'ayira, v'im ruchi geviyati, Adonai li velo yira.
All right, let's take a look, see who sent a comment to us. We have Zev Raphaim, Shabbat Shalom. Jenny Bro, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Hang in there. Only 7+ days until 2021. Yes, and then everything will be 2020 in hindsight. And Joan Lerner, Shabbat Shalom. Well, Shabbat Shalom to all of you and to all of us. Be well out there, and we'll see you soon. Shabbat Shalom and good Shabbos.